each of these cities have made strategic strides in reducing teen pregnancy. And for objectives, as any PR campaign, you set out objectives, and this campaign set out 5 strategic objectives to have a successful campaign. One of them being to engage the collaborative leadership to address teen pregnancy, also to elevate that teen pregnancy is a critical level instead of it being a social norm. Also to target the African American and Hispanic communities, which have the highest birth rates, and also to address the issue of sexual encounters between adults and teens. Also to drive implementation in the Milwaukee public high school system, and also to produce measurable results to see that 46% by 2015. And now, Catherine is going to give more information on the strategic message.
So based on the research and objectives that they had set for this campaign, they came up with multiple strategic messages for each of their different target audiences. So here you can see their message for teens. They were trying to let them know that getting pregnant as a teenager negatively impacts your life. They had a different message for those young adult males between 18 and 34. They were trying to tell them adults having sex with minors is not only wrong but illegal, and statutory rape often has more than one victim, the teen and her potential resulting child. For the general community, they were trying to convey that teen pregnancy has both economic and societal consequences. It affects everyone in Greater Milwaukee. So that's why everyone should care and everyone should contribute to this effort. Like Missy said, all those businesses that participated in the research and creation of this campaign, because it really matters, especially to the business community, who can suffer a skilled worker shortage and a poor business climate overall as a result of these high rates of teen pregnancy. So in this programming and execution for this campaign, they knew that they were going to have to use hard-hitting and shocking tactics to really get through to this basically relaxed and not concerned community, because it was such a social norm and such a big issue. So they used 25 hard-hitting tactics to address this public health crisis because it had been ignored for decades, and they needed to make people stop in their tracks in order to get their message across. So in phase 1, they were trying to increase awareness and get people to stop ignoring the issue. So this was basically just putting it in front of the people. So they used outdoor, indoor, transit, print, radio, TV, collateral, and grassroots tactics such as postering and flyering. So they really covered everything. And you can see here an ad that's targeted to a teen male. They were trying to really just stop you in your tracks, and you would say, wait, what? What is that? Think your teen life won't change with a baby? And they show teens doing things that obviously teens wouldn't do if they had babies, with them at least. And you can see all of the resources that they created for teens and every audience really strongly directed to babycanwait.com. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. That was one of their biggest parts of their campaign.
What do y'all think about that ad?
That's great.
What makes it effective? Remember that shock advertising we talked about in visual communication? Right. Good photoshopping there, right? And it's minimal text. It's really that image that catches your attention first of all, but the message is absolutely there. And I think the point Catherine made, this is so important, that with this campaign they realized they didn't just have the teenagers as their audience. Their audiences were much greater than that they had different objectives and different strategic messages for each of those audiences, as Catherine talked about.
Definitely. And they also did a really good job on the next slide with the female version of the same ad. Obviously, she can't do that with a baby, so we can move on to the next one. And they used a ton of shock advertising. This pregnant boy ad campaign really got a lot of response from the bloggers. And, you know, they said, we knew we were going to have some outrage and some upset people because this was on billboards in the community, but they were trying to say, yes, this is shocking, and you don't want to look at it. Well, it should be the same way when you look at a teenage girl. It shouldn't just be, this is the normal thing, we accept this. It should be just as disturbing when it's a girl who's pregnant.
And again, keeping in mind that the research had showed that people were just accepting it. People were not concerned in the community about teen pregnancy.
And for the business community, they were also, like I said, targeting these other communities that were impacted and needed to be involved in this campaign. So they were highlighting the availability of qualified workers would suffer with all these teen pregnancies and the public cost of teen births. So for the first message they were trying to convey, they would put signs in the storefront windows, help really, really wanted because we don't have enough workers. And they also put out mock invoices in magazines so people would stop and look at it because it looks like any other bill that you receive in the mail. But then you see that it's itemizing the costs that you are incurring because of the high rate of teen pregnancy through your taxes and other costs. So it said at the bottom, when a teen gets pregnant, we all see results. most of the campaign was done misdirectly, which meant that they were trying to fool people into engaging. Like the invoice I just described, you look at it because it's surprising or shocking, but then once you're engaged, they can really convey their message because they have your complete attention. So like this one, it was in bus stops. It says scratch and sniff, and it's dirty diaper. So of course you're going to walk up to it and try to scratch and sniff it if you want to, because you're confused about why they would do that. And then when you get up close, you can see this doesn't really stink, but the consequences of teen pregnancy sure do. And this is just part of the ugly mess you'd be getting yourself into. Get the facts at babycanwait.com. So the advertising agency was saying in a video, they had all these videos of teens walking up to it and like laughing with their friends and trying to scratch it, and then they would read it. So it was really effective, because if it had just been a traditional poster with the words about how bad teen pregnancy is, they probably would not have engaged with it like they did. And they also went into the high schools and invaded the vending machines. So instead of finding candy and chips, teens found diapers, formula, wipes, and diaper rash cream. And in the bottom corner, they had a little note that said, "Welcome to the wonderful world of teen pregnancy." So they were just finding these teens where they were, forcing them to engage, basically. You know, they're going to go to the vending machine, it's part of their normal routine, and then they find this message that they can't avoid. So they're really reaching these teens where they are. They also had, more misdirect advertising, lost sleep. And it's a message from a 15-year-old girl. "Last time I had decent sleep was 33 hours ago. The baby keeps screaming and I feel like I'm losing my mind. I should have waited to get pregnant. If you can help, please contact me." And the poll tabs say babycanwait.com. So they're hoping teens will take these and say, "I want to learn more about this. This is pretty interesting. It's funny." They're just finding the teens where they are. They had more bus stop signs. They said, "For a good time, call this number." And the ad agency said more than 60,000 teens did call the number to see what it was. And when they called, they would get a recording of a teen who was speaking over a crying baby in the background, talking about how hard it was to have a baby, about changing diapers, getting up in the middle of the night, paying child support, dropping out of school. So again, the misdirect campaign, they're calling this number thinking one thing and they get something totally different, but they're listening to it because it's interesting. And they also were targeting multiple communities with these messages, so they had some recordings that would play in Spanish. You had a Spanish option because that was one of their communities. They put some pregnant mannequins in prom dress shops. So teens are, just going about their day, shopping for a prom dress, and they find this pregnant mannequin, and the tag says, "A prom date is better without a due date."
What do y'all think about those kind of techniques?
That's so smart. Like, thorough, for sure.
It's a little deceptive, but at the same time, sometimes you have to be, I guess, really
And
effective.
I think this is an important point, right? This isn't trying to get people to buy your Pepsi.
Right.
I mean, this is like a completely different issue, and so there are some ethical issues involved with tactics like this, but it does go back to the message, the organization, what the goal is, and if this ends up being an effective output.
And since we're talking, it is like a public awareness campaign, so they have different goals.
Right,
And this is for
absolutely.
the betterment of the whole community. So
Absolutely.
I definitely think that's
Much different than trying to get somebody to buy your car or buy your soda product, so.
This tactic was actually one of our group's favorites. They started advertising about this new movie that was going to be coming out called 2028, and all the teens were excited about it. They were watching the trailer, they were telling their friends, and we're actually going to play the trailer for you guys today.